I met her at a wedding I wasn't supposed to attend. It was my cousin's third one. Outdoors, under a sprawling white tent in Santa Barbara, the kind with a string quartet and signature cocktails. I hadn't planned to go, but a last-minute client cancellation and a strangely quiet weekend left me restless. I figured, why not? Dress up, drink some overpriced bourbon, pretend to care about floral centerpieces. I had no idea she'd be there. She was a friend of the bride. A brunette with those kind of eyes that made you forget what you were about to say. Sharp jawline, easy laugh, the kind of confidence that makes the whole room rotate slightly around her. She wore a navy blue dress that fit like it had been designed just for her. And when she looked at me across the bar, tilted her head, smiled like she knew I'd walk over, I did. Her name was Lila. We talked all through dinner, skipped dessert, wandered out to the garden where the string lights hummed above us like bees. She said she'd just gotten out of something complicated. I said I wasn't looking for anything serious. She laughed at that, tossed her hair over one shoulder, and said, "Good. I'm allergic to men who fall too fast." It was only later I'd realized that wasn't a warning. It was a leash. The first few weeks felt unreal. Every time she texted, my chest lit up like Christmas morning. She was funny, direct, a little chaotic, but in a way that made her seem alive. We had long dinners, late drives, lazy mornings with her feet tangled in my sheets like they belonged there. She listened when I talked about my design work, nodded thoughtfully, traced the veins in my hand like they held secrets. I was falling. Slowly, quietly, the way a tree does when no one's around to hear. Then came the first mention of him. We were at a rooftop bar, her legs in my lap, a whiskey sour in her hand. She was scrolling through her phone and paused too long on a photo. Him. The ex. She said his name, Brandon, and something flickered across her face, not sadness exactly, more like unfinished business. He was a liar, she said. And I was stupid. I didn't push. Not that night. But I remembered the way her voice dipped on his name, like it still belonged somewhere in her mouth. Over the next month, his name kept surfacing. Like driftwood. He used to take me here. He never listened. He always thought I'd crawl back. I figured she just needed time. That maybe being with me was helping her heal. That was the first lie I told myself. The kind that sounds generous, noble even, but it's just self-protection dressed up as patience. One night, we went to this bar she loved. Dim lighting, old jazz records, smells of cedar and citrus, and spilled rum. We were sitting at a high top when she suddenly stiffened. Brandon had walked in. I'd never seen him before. Tall, broad-shouldered, wore confidence like a second skin. He looked around the room, his eyes skimming, then locking on Lila. And just like that, something in her shifted. She straightened her back, crossed her legs slowly, touched my arm, and laughed louder than the joke deserved. She leaned in and kissed me. Forceful, sudden, too sharp to be romantic. Then I understood. I wasn't her next chapter. I was her punctuation mark. The exclamation she wanted him to hear. Brandon didn't come over. He watched for a minute, then disappeared into a booth with two women and a bottle of something gold. Lila watched him, sipping her drink like it was laced with venom. I said nothing, but inside, something cold began to grow. After that night, I started seeing things differently. Her affection felt performative. Every public gesture, every Instagram post of us together, carefully posed and captioned. Always the kind of moments you want an audience for. And always, a vague undercurrent of her proving something. I asked once, "Are you over him?" She looked at me, tilted her head. "Why? Are you insecure?" "No," I said. "Just want to know if I'm in something real. Or if I'm the rebound in an extended play." She didn't answer right away. Then she stood, walked into the kitchen, and changed the subject when she came back. That silence told me more than any words could have. Still, I stayed. Part of me wanted to believe I was different. That maybe if I loved her right, fully, fearlessly, she'd stop using the past as a stage and build something new with me. But love doesn't work like that. It can't compete with revenge, not when someone's still trying to win a war you didn't even enlist in. The next turning point came 2 months later when I found the messages. She'd left her laptop open, not in a careless way, but almost baited, like she wanted me to see. I wasn't snooping, not at first. But when the screen lit up and I saw his name again, curiosity outweighed pride. There they were. Chat logs, threads and threads of conversation. Flirty, nostalgic, some angry, some intimate. but all of it drenched in energy that didn't belong in the past. And the worst part? She'd sent him pictures. Of us. Of me. Look who I moved on with. Jealous yet. He treats me like gold. Every compliment she gave me, weaponized. I stared at the screen for a long time. And then I closed it, walked to the window, and watched the city breathe in its quiet indifference. I didn't confront her that night. No yelling. No questions. I just smiled when she came back into the room, let her curl into me like everything was still intact. Because now, the game had changed. If I was her pawn, I'd become the last move. And I was going to make sure he saw it. Right before I walked away too. After that night, something in me broke, but not loudly. It wasn't a dramatic shatter, more like a hairline crack across glass. Invisible at first, but spreading. I didn't pull away from her. Not immediately. In fact, I leaned in more. Took her to nicer places. Held her longer. Bought her flowers for no reason at all. I started playing the part with even more precision than before. Because I wasn't just her pawn anymore. I was the king about to make his last move. It wasn't revenge I was after. It was exposure. I wanted her to see what it felt like to be used. Not in cruelty, but in clarity. I wanted her to know what it felt like to be staged. To have someone smile at you with all the right words, while planning their exit 3 steps ahead. It started small. I dropped hints about a promotion. I didn't get one, but I said I did. Told her my firm was flying me to Miami for a client pitch, which meant I had to dress sharper, act more important. I let her imagine I was rising quickly, that our time together was borrowed. She lit up when I said it, giggled like it meant something to her. But I knew better now. She wasn't happy for me. She was excited to be seen beside someone with potential. A few days later, I caught her on the phone in the hallway. I wasn't supposed to hear, but I did. No, he's doing well. Real well. He's not like you. I mean, yeah, he's sweet, but he's not you. That was all I needed to hear. Confirmation. I wasn't a partner. I was a presentation. So I leaned in further. I invited her to Brandon's favorite lounge, the one we'd gone to that first night we saw him. She hesitated at first, then said, "Only if you dress the way you did that night. You look good." Her eyes sparkled like she was already imagining the photo op. It was a Saturday. Warm night. City buzzing in that way it does just before summer turns. She wore red this time. Not navy. Something bolder, tighter. Her way of reminding him, if he showed up, that she was still the kind of woman who turned heads. And I wore the suit she liked. The scent she complimented. I played my role perfectly. We got there around 9. Got a booth. Ordered drinks. She kept scanning the room, trying to play it cool, but her eyes betrayed her. I pretended not to notice. Let her talk about her week, about work, about a new scarf she wanted to buy. I nodded, smiled, made jokes. Even kissed her hand once. Then, at 9:47 p.m., he walked in. Same confident stride. Same careless grin. This time, he wasn't alone. 2 buddies in tow. All muscle and loud energy, dressed like guys who wanted attention but didn't know how to earn it. She stiffened, then leaned in closer to me. "Brandon's here," she whispered like it was some kind of shared secret. "Is he?" I said, sipping my drink. I didn't turn to look. Didn't need to. I knew he saw us. Knew he'd recognized her. Recognized me. She started performing. Laughing louder. Touching my thigh. Leaning in to whisper things that weren't even funny, but made her look like she was wrapped in bliss. Her nails dragged along my collarbone as she spoke, tracing invisible claims. "He's definitely watching," she said. I nodded. "Let him." At some point, Brandon walked past our booth. Slowly. Deliberately. Didn't even glance at me. His eyes locked on her. She met his gaze, held it, and then kissed me. Not a peck. Something showy, dramatic. Tongue and theater. I let it happen. I even played into it. Because I knew this was her final act. The peak of the performance. And then, I got up. "Where are you going?" she asked, still breathless from the kiss. "Bathroom," I said. But I didn't go to the bathroom. I walked out the side door, into the alley, took a breath, and texted a driver I'd hired for the night. Told him to be ready in 2 minutes. Then I called Brandon. We'd never spoken before. Never had a reason to. But I'd done my homework. Found his number through a mutual contact. A friend of a friend kind of route that leaves no digital fingerprints. He answered on the 3rd ring. "Hello. This is going to sound strange," I said. "But I think you deserve to know the truth." There was a pause. "Who is this?" "I'm the guy Lila's using to make you jealous." Silence. "Then what?" She still texts you. I've seen the messages. The photos. She's not over you, Brandon. She's performing. For you. Every touch, every laugh tonight. It wasn't real. It was scripted. And I let her do it. I wanted you to see it. You're serious? As serious as the regret I feel, I said. But not for loving her. For letting her use me like a mirror. I hung up before he could answer. Then I got in the car and left. No note. No explanation. No goodbye kiss. Just gone. I didn't block her. I wanted her to sit with the silence. To wonder if I knew. To wonder what I told him. And eventually, she did reach out. But that's a part of the story I'll tell later. Because that night wasn't about her anymore. Or even him. It was about me, finally stepping off the stage of a play I never auditioned for. The first message came an hour after I left. Where are you? No punctuation. Just 3 words, hastily typed. I didn't reply. I didn't even read the others as they came in. I watched the screen light up once, twice again. Then I slid the phone face down on the hotel nightstand and sat in the quiet. I stayed in a room overlooking the city, not because I needed the view, but because it reminded me I was out of her orbit, out of that performance. I'd left the theater of us mid-act, and I didn't care how loud the applause or the confusion got after. By the next morning, the tone of her texts had changed. What the hell is going on? You just left? After everything? Did you talk to Brandon? I didn't reply to that one either, but I knew that was the one that scared her most. Not the silence, not even the abandonment. It was the possibility that her perfect little show had finally gone off script. See, people like Lila don't fear heartbreak. They fear exposure. They build their lives like stage sets, angled lights, curated lines, enough charm to distract you from the hollowness behind the curtain. She didn't love me. She loved how I looked standing next to her, how I made her seem desirable, unavailable, wanted by someone else. And Brandon? He wasn't a memory to her. He was the mirror she performed for. A week went by, then 10 days. She called twice. I didn't answer. She sent a voice message, 4 minutes long, crying by the end of it, her voice cracking just enough to make it sound honest. But even then, I knew the tears weren't for me. They were for the version of herself that she'd just lost control of. I finally replied on day 12. A single message. I know what I was to you. I hope one day, you know what I became because of it. She didn't respond. Not that day. Not the next. But 2 weeks later, Brandon did. Out of nowhere, a message on LinkedIn. Professional. Curt. But the subtext bled through the screen. Just wanted to say, I get it now? All of it. She's still trying to spin the narrative. But I saw it. I saw the way she used you. And somehow, you still handled it better than I ever did. Respect. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Because that was never about getting even with him. Or making him hurt. It was about ending the cycle. About showing the truth to the one person she couldn't lie to anymore. Herself. The fallout came fast. Friends started asking questions. Mutuals dropped off her radar. The curated image cracked. She posted vague, emotional stories for a while. Quotes about self-love and healing. A carousel of photos where I used to be, now replaced with cityscapes and filter-heavy selfies. But the likes were fewer. The comments more generic. The audience weary. And me? I moved. Not out of town, just out of reach. Got a new apartment. Different side of the city. Somewhere the air felt clean, the silence honest. For a while, I carried pieces of her with me. Not out of longing, but out of learning. I saw the warning signs now. The laughter that felt rehearsed. The way someone compliments you only when others are watching. The stories that always made them the victim. I understood now how charm could be a weapon, how attention could be currency. And most of all, I understood that love without truth isn't love at all. It's theater. A year passed. One quiet afternoon, I ran into one of her old friends at a coffee shop. He blinked like he'd seen a ghost. You look different, he said. Better or worse? I smiled. He chuckled. Better. Lighter. Heard you and Lila split. She didn't say much about it. Just that it ended suddenly. I nodded. That's about right. He paused, sipped his drink, then added, whatever happened, you left her spinning. She's not used to not having the last word. I just smiled. Not smug. Not bitter. Just peaceful. Because the truth is, I didn't need the last word. I didn't need the last scene. I just needed to walk off the stage before the story turned me into someone I didn't recognize. And I did. She used me to make her ex jealous. So I made sure he saw us. Right before I left her, too.